पूजनीय महाराज इस सत्र को संबोधित करेंगे।
नमः श्री अतिराजाय विवेकानंद सूरये सच्चित् सुख स्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे परात्मानमेकं जगद्बीजमाद्यं निरीहं निराकारमोङ्कारवेद्यं यतो जायते पाल्यते येन विश्वं तमीशं भजे लीयते यत्र विश्वम्। हरि ओम तत्सत्। हरि ओम तत्सत्। हरि ओम तत्सत्। My dear students and all the esteemed guests seated here, my namaskars and best wishes to all of you. Today, it gives me an unspeakable sense of delight to come here and express a few ideas of mine on this very important subject of essence of the Indian culture. भारतीय संस्कृति सार्ट की होच्छे, हमारी जो देश की जो मूल संस्कृति है उसका सार क्या है? So today I shall just shed some few important points I shall keep before all of you, which is very important for several reasons. When we talk about Indian culture and the knowledge of the essence of Indian culture, it has got something to do with awakening of a sense of pride. This is a very important point. We should keep it in mind that we as the nation, citizens of this country, we have to have some pride about our nation, pride about our culture and civilization. This national pride, the racial pride, is very much essential. And that is the reason why I say that this subject of understanding the essence of this great Bharatiya Sanskriti is very important. Especially for our young generation, it is very vital, because of our present day young generation, they are the people who are going to be the builders of this country in the future. So we all have to have a tremendous sense of pride about our national identity. And to have pride about our national identity, first of all, we have to have the knowledge about who we are. What is this civilization and culture in which we are born? You see, every country, every race has got a background. Similarly, India, this great country, Bharat, also has got a background, it has got a story. If you just look into the very successful nations in the world today, for example, you take the Western nations, we know that in America, the students there, youngsters there, they are specifically told the story of America, how America is a great country, and a sense of pride is instilled in the minds of American youth. Similarly, we Indians, we also have to know what is the story of India. Knowing the story of India, the history of India, which takes us to our own roots, civilizational roots, cultural roots. This is very important. We have to know where lies the soul of this country. And let me tell you right in the beginning that there is something very unique about Bharat. There is something very distinctive, very special about our motherland, which is very different from the so-called other nations of the world. I shall touch upon those points in my next half an hour or 35 minutes of talk. But this is a very important subject. Now, when we talk about history, we should know, हमें पता होना चाहिए भारत का जो असली इतिहास क्या है. ये दुख की बात है कि आज ये बात स्वामी विवेकानंद भी कहते हैं. Even Vivekananda talks about it. He says that we Indians have to rewrite our history. Why did Swami Vivekananda say that we have to rewrite our history? One important reason for that was our present day history, which we are reading. আমাদের দেশের ইতিহাস যে আমরা পড়ছি আজকে, এই ইতিহাস লেখা হয়েছিল সব পাশ্চাত্যের ইতিহাসকার দ্বারা. The history today which we are reading in our schools, which we are teaching our children, a great part of this history has been written by foreigners and Europeans. The real history, the glorious part of India has not been presented justifiably and duly. Again, I repeat, if you just look into our history textbooks, presently our government is trying to change this. That's a very good, important step. But at least when we were in school at that time, the kind of history that we were being taught, in that mostly the picturization of India is what? India was ruled by the invaders for the last 1,000 years. Then came the Britishers, then they ruled us. So, lot of emphasis has been on this India being the slaves of other country. But the true glory of India, Bharater je glory ta, sheita je bhabe present korar uchit chilo, she bhabe amader books amra ota pai na. This is one big defect. That is why Swami Vivekananda বলেছিলেন कि আমাদেরকে আমাদের ইতিহাসটা নিজেই লিখতে হবে আর আমাদের ইতিহাসটা হবে on national lines. And why did Swami Vivekananda say that? Because the present day, whatever we are studying, it is to a great extent negative picturization of our country. We need a positive and the true, the glorious picture of what Bharat was. Now, before I go into the main point of what is the essence of Indian culture, let me touch upon one important point. And that point is India. Amra Bharater সম্পর্কে আমরা এই আলোচনা করছি. We are thinking about our country, nation, রাষ্ট্র. Bharat হচ্ছে একটা রাষ্ট্র, it's a nation. Some important points we have to touch upon, my dear youngsters. Remember that. What goes into the making of a nation? A very important point. I repeat again. What makes a nation? What goes into the making of a nation? What do you mean by nation or a rashtra? You see, a nation is not only a geographical territory. A geographical territory alone does not make a nation. For a nation to come into existence, there are some other important points. How does a nation come into existence? For example, today India has got a population of 140 crore people. Is it not? Today India's population is 140 crore people. Now, this 140 crore people, if they have to become one nation, there has to be something common, something which ties all these 140 crore members into one entity. There has to be some common basis. There has to be some common idea. There has to be some common purpose. That commonality is what actually goes into the making of a nation out of a group of people. So what is that thing which actually holds this 140 crore people of this country and make them into one nation of India? What is that? It's a very important question. Now you see, a nation can be made from different standpoints. Let us take some examples. In the West, language is one of the important factors which goes into the making of a nation. Let us take an example. French people living in France, they speak one language, and that common language becomes the basis for all the so-called French people to come together and form a nation, a rashtra. Similarly, you take Germans, you can take the English, England, the Dutch, the Spaniards. All these different countries, they have come into existence owing to this one commonality of language factor, which makes these people, that people living in one region speaking one language, they come together and they form one nation. They live together as one country. That is their identity. Then, now the next question is, what is that holds 140 crore people of this country into one entity? What is that? Is it language? We have in India, officially, if you just go by the Constitution of India, we have 22 official languages in this country. 22 official languages, can you imagine? Officially 22, unofficially there are more than 800 different dialects and spoken languages in this country. More than 800. Officially declared there are 22 languages in the Constitution of India. So can one language become the point where, or can one language become that point where all the 140 crore people can come together and become one nation? In India, it is not possible. Then what is that factor which actually makes us one nation? Now let me come to the main point here. This is very, very, very significant. Now if you look into our Indian society today, it is the most complex society existing on the planet, truly speaking. India today has got 28 states, having 22 official languages. There are diverse kinds of people living with different customs, different practices, different faiths, different beliefs, different ways of eating habits, dressing habits. The people living in south of India, they are as different from the people living in the North India, just as Indians are different from, say, Arabians. The differentiation is so glaring. A person living in, say, Rajasthan, how is that person same with a person who is living in, say, Kerala or Tamil Nadu? what is the common thing which binds both these persons? This we have to find out. Is it language that is actually bringing them together? The person staying in Tamil Nadu, he is speaking Tamil language. The person staying in Punjab, he is speaking Punjabi language. Where is the commonality to make us feel that we are one people, we are one nation? Their food habits are totally different. The food habit of a person staying in, say, Kerala or Tamil Nadu is of one kind, and the eating habit of a person staying in, say, Haryana or Punjab or Rajasthan is of a totally different kind. Where is the commonality? How do we understand that we are one people, one nation? This glaring difference in language and habits and customs, and in so many ways we are so diverse, and yet we are one nation. How? Now, if this question is asked, usually the answer that we get is, Swamiji, what actually binds us together is the Constitution of India. Yes, it's true. It is the Constitution of India which actually makes us one nation. This is absolutely indubitable. There is no doubt about it. But my question is, when was this Constitution of India born? This Constitution of India was born in 1950. And since then, in 1950, we declared ourselves to be the Republic of India, and we became one nation in a very formal sense. But the question is, were we not a nation before the formation of this Constitution of India? What was the status of India before this Constitution came into existence? Here comes the importance of studying Swami Vivekananda. Somebody has said, if you really want to understand what India is, if you really have to understand the glory of Bharatiya Sanskriti and Bharatiya Sabhyata, you should read Vivekananda. Somebody asked Romarola, who was a French laureate, he asked this question. He wanted to know about India. And at that time, Rabindranath Tagore told this to Romarola that if you want to understand India, study Vivekananda. And this is not an exaggeration. This is literally true. In fact, in our modern times, even today, unfortunately, we see that in all television debates where this question is about what is our identity, what is the root of India's nationality, all kinds of narratives you will find kept before the people. But truly speaking, no one is touching the core of India's nationality. No one is touching the heart of India. No one is touching the soul of India. To understand the soul of India, you have to read Vivekananda. My dear youngsters, I am telling this to you. If you really want to understand the glory of what India is, যদি তোমরা জানতে চাও যে ভারতীয়ের গৌরব কি আছে, ভারতের আসল ইতিহাসটা কি আছে, ভারতীয় সংস্কৃতি और সভ্যতার महत्व কি আছে, এটা যদি তোমরা জানতে চাও, you should read Vivekananda very, very seriously and carefully. And the one book which I would strongly recommend to all the youngsters, it is a book called Lectures from Colombo to Almora. I am sure I have told this in the last year session also. I have told this in the before that session also. Since 2017 I am coming here. I am sure I must have told this in all the sessions. And I will keep telling this as long as I will be coming to attend this session. Because there lies the secret of understanding what India is. So please take this suggestion very seriously. My dear youngsters, when you go back, make it a point to study these lectures from Colombo to Almora very, very seriously. Bharate Swami Vivekananda. In Bengali, the translation is Bharate Swami Vivekananda. And in Hindi, it is, Hindi में वही किताब जो है, भारतीय व्याख्यान, यह उस किताब का नाम है. मैं आप लोगों से अनुरोध करता हूं कि इस किताब को जरूर पढ़िएगा. अगर आपको भारत के विषय में जानना हो, भारत की संस्कृति की जो महानता है, जो महत्ता है, उसको समझना हो, तो स्वामी विवेकानंद के इस भारतीय व्याख्यान को जरूर पढ़िएगा। आपके रोंगटे खड़े हो जाएंगे, आपके अंदर एक गर्व की भावना उत्पन्न हो जाएगी। You will feel proud to belong to this great civilization and culture. We have a very distinctive story to tell to the world. India has got a mission. India is living for one purpose. Bharatiya Sanskriti is living for one purpose. This is the central idea which you will find running through all the pages of this wonderful Agni Mantra called Lectures from Colombo to Almora. Anyway, coming back to the main point. So what is that is actually holding us together as one nation? वो क्या चीज है जो हमें भारतीय बनाता है? कोई पंजाबी है, कोई तमिलनाडु में रहने वाला तमिल बोलने वाला व्यक्ति है, उनमें समानता क्या है? भाषा तो नहीं है, खान पान जो है वह भी नहीं है, वेशभूषा वह भी नहीं है। तो इन दोनों व्यक्तियों के बीच में समानता क्या है? समानता यह है, what is the common point? Both the person living in Rajasthan as well as the person living in Tamil Nadu, both of them have got a common belief system, a common idea that the goal of human life is to attain moksha. Both of them, they consider Ganga to be a pure and holy river. Both of them consider that Gayatri is that mantra which can awaken the human buddhi. Both of them will consider Kashi to be the most holiest place in India. It is this common belief system. The person staying in Kerala and Tamil Nadu will also go to Kashi and pour water on the Shivalinga, and the person staying in Rajasthan also will do the same thing. They are speaking absolutely two different languages. They have got absolutely two different lifestyles, two different eating habits, two different ways of dressing themselves, and yet they are tied down by one common string of ideology. And the question is, what is that ideology? What is that makes this Tamilian also go to Kashi and pour Ganga water on Shivalinga? And what makes this Rajasthani also, Gujarati also, Marathi also to go to Kashi and pour Ganga water on Shivalinga? What is that common ideology? Swami Vivekananda doesn't tire. स्वामी जी थकते नहीं है ये बात कहते हुए कि हमारे जो भारतीय संस्कृति का जो मूल जो है, the essence of Indian culture, that one thing around which the 140 crore people can rally and should rally, that one thing is our great spiritual Vaidika Sanatana Dharma. It is this Vaidika Sanatana Dharma, which is today known as Hindu Dharma, which is the very soul of this land. Let us understand this point very clearly. This is the very pulse, the very prana of this country, and it is this ideology which actually holds the 140 crore people together, though they may be speaking absolutely two different languages, though they may be having two different eating habits. The people of Bengal, they are so different. Seen from the surface, they are so different from the people of Gujarat. But what is the common point? The common thought system. What is that thought system? That thought system is the great thought system of the Vedas, the great thought system of the Hindu Sanatana Dharma. It is this what actually holds the 140 crore people together. I'll give you one example. Look into the different festivals which we celebrate in this country. Whether it is Deepavali or Holi, Ganesh Chaturthi or Durga Puja, all these wonderful festivals are celebrated by everyone in this country. They may be speaking different languages, but what is tying them together is common idea, spiritual idea, a common dharmic idea. Now next month, आगामी मासे महाकुंभ मेला होबे Prayagraj. There is going to be the great Kumbh Mela in Prayagraj. My dear youngsters, just know this point. 45 crore people are going to assemble there in that 1 month. Can you imagine this? This is going to be the largest gathering on this planet. 45 crore. 1/3 of India's population is going to be present there in Prayagraj in the next month. 1/3 of India's population. They may be speaking absolutely different languages. Bengalis and Gujaratis and Marathis and Tamils and Punjabis and what not. Absolutely different languages, but all tied together by one common factor. That common factor is religion. And when I talk about religion, it is the religion of Hindu Dharma. It is this one point which actually brings the people of this country into one identity. We are one people, we are one race, our ancestry is one, we belong to one ancestors. This is what Swami Vivekananda was driving in his amazing lectures which he gave from lectures to Colombo to Almora. He was reminding us that we are one people, we are all Aryaputras. Now this much is clear that this Hindu Dharma, this Vaidika Sanatana Dharma is that thing which is the very soul of this land. Now, certain complex questions may come to our mind. Complex questions like, what about Christians? What about Muslims? They don't practice Hindu Dharma. But my dear devotees and youngsters, remember that in India today, whom we refer to as Muslims and Christians, they were all Hindus at a particular point of time. They got converted for several reasons, that's a different thing. But if you just check their DNA, you will find that they all belong to this very soil. They belong to this very root, Vaidika Samskriti alone. This cannot be denied. Anybody who is sincere, he or she won't be able to deny this factor. And when I am talking about Hinduism, remember in that, when I am talking about Hindus, in that Bauddhas are included, Jainas are included, Sikhs are included, all these different groups are included because it is the Hindu Dharma which is the mother of all religions. If you remember Chicago speech of Swami Vivekananda, what was that wonderful, amazing, electrifying speech that Vivekananda gave to the entire world? 11 September 1893. Swamiji is standing on that platform of Chicago Dharma Sabha. How did he address the entire audience there? And he was thanking the American audience, in whose name the first 3 sentences itself is something amazing. Swamiji is saying, Swamiji is thanking the audience, Swamiji is thanking the entire world, in whose name. Swamiji is saying, I thank you. The first sentence, you can read it, electrifying. What a sense of pride is displayed in his words. It is something indescribable. Swamiji is saying, I thank you all in the name of the most ancient order of monks in the world. Which is this most ancient order of monks in the world? It is Hindu Sanatana Dharma. The most ancient order of monks in the world belongs to the Hindu Sanatana Dharma. Second sentence, Swamiji says, I thank you in the name of mother of all religions. Which is this mother of all religions? Hindu Sanatana Dharma. Third sentence, Swamiji says, I thank you in the name of millions and millions of Hindus of all classes and sects. Just imagine that epoch-making lecture or talk given by Swami Vivekananda starts with a thumping pride in what we are. We, the so-called the Hindu Dharma practitioners. Swamiji had to keep this message of Hindu Dharma before the entire world. Now I'm coming to this main point. The essence of Indian culture lies in this great thought system, the very scientific and universal thought system of the Vedas, the scientific and universal thought system of the Hindu Dharma. Now, what is so special about Hindu Dharma? There is something very, very special about Hindu Dharma. Let me tell you this point very clearly. No other religion speaks this language. No other religion speaks this language. And this is what Swami Vivekananda says makes Hindu Dharma so scientific and universal. And that is the essence of Indian culture. Why is India like this? We are so tolerant. We accept everybody. Why? Just before I go into the main point of the uniqueness of Indian Dharma, let me just touch upon a few points about that Chicago lecture. Swamiji says there, after uttering those 3 sentences, then he continues and he says that, I am proud to belong to that religion which has not only spoken about tolerance, but which speaks about acceptance, universal acceptance. A very important point. Swami Vivekananda is talking about the essence of Indian culture, that behavior pattern of this people in which the Hindus are always not only tolerant, we accept everybody. We accept everybody as one family, no matter to which religion that person belongs to. Why does this happen? This does not happen among those communities where this ideology is not there. Now we know what is happening in Bangladesh, we know what is happening in Pakistan. It's all known fact. Let us speak it openly. Why are they so intolerant? And this Hindu Samaj is the one society where we accept everybody as our own people. We don't hate anybody. We don't think of cutting the throat of other people. What is this ideology? That is what I want to keep before you. That is what is the very sar, the essence of the so-called Hindu, the Indian nation, the Bharatiya Sanskriti. So Swamiji says that, I am proud to belong to that nation that has taught the entire world not only tolerance, but also universal acceptance. I am proud to belong to that nation which has sheltered the persecuted and refugees coming from different nations. This is that land where people from all parts of the world have come here from time to time, seeking refuge, and we have been giving that. What makes us do this? This thing, Swamiji says, happens only in Hindu society alone. And why is it happening only in Hindu society? Because of our great universal and scientific thought system of the Vedas. Now, what is the speciality of Hindu Dharma? 4-5 points. Please keep it in mind. What makes this Hindu Dharma, Vaidika Sanatana Dharma so special is, you see, Swamiji's own words. Swamiji says in one place, he says, the greatest teaching that was ever given to the humanity, the greatest utterance that ever was made by anybody in human history is one. Ages ago, Swamiji says, when the Western nations were not even born, at that time, Swamiji says, some rishi somewhere in the lap of the Himalayas, some rishi standing up, maybe on the bank of Sindhu, maybe on the bank of Ganga, who knows? A rishi stands up and declares to the entire humanity the greatest truth ever spoken. And what is that utterance? That utterance is the very sar. That utterance is the very essence. That utterance is the very soul. That utterance is the very prana of Bharatiya Sanskriti. What is that utterance? Swamiji says that Rishi uttered, Ekam Sat Vipra Bahudha Vadanti. Truth is one. Sages call it by different names. And then he says, what is this truth that we are talking about? This truth that we are talking about is the ultimate reality, my dear children here, seated here. This truth that we are talking about, it is the only thing which is actually existing. It is the divinity which is residing inside each one of us. This truth which we are referring to as Ishvara, our idea of Ishvara is not somewhere up in the sky. Our Ishvara resides in our own hearts as our own Atman, the divine center which is pulsating in each one of you. This center of divinity, that divinity, the meaning of that is what our Vedas teach us, Hindu Dharma teaches us, that everyone is divine, every man is divine, every woman is divine. At the core of this creation is divinity. Now see, a picture is presented about what is the ultimate reality and where to search for this reality. That ultimate reality is divinity. It is called Brahman, Atman, no matter what name you give to it. But there is one reality which is throbbing in the hearts of all of us. And this reality can be realized. It can be experienced. It is not something to be just believed in. हम सब जो है अव्यक्त रूप से हम आत्मा हैं. हमारे उपनिषद जो है, हमारे ऋषियों की जो वाणी है, ऋषि हमें यह बता करके गए हैं कि आप लोग सब दिव्य हो मेरे बच्चों. You're all divine. তোমরা সব দিব্য আছো. এটাই হচ্ছে আমাদের ঋষিদের গ্রেট টিচিং. আর এই যে দিব্যতা, এ আমরা রিয়েলাইজ করতে পারি, এটা শুধু বিশ্বাসের কথা নেই, এটাকে আমরা অনুভব করতে পারি. You can experience it. And there is a way to experience it. And this divinity, it is with form, also without form. And as this divinity is residing in everybody, now comes a beautiful idea. As this divinity is residing in everybody, it is not that it is only residing in the Indians and it is not residing in Americans. It is residing in everybody, in every human being, in every animal, in every living thing, in every non-living thing. It is residing in everything. That's why the vision of the Hindu Dharma is what? The vision is that everything is divine. This world itself is divine. There is divinity and divinity alone that is actually existing. Only we may not be seeing it now for some reason or the other. But what is actually existing is divinity and divinity alone, nothing else. And if this is the case, Hindu Dharma teaches that the entire world is one family. There is a great utterance in our Vedas which says, Ayam nija paro vaiti ganana laghuchetasam udara charitanam tu vasudhaiva kutumbakam. What a great utterance for once and for all times. It is this Hindu ideology which alone can take the entire humanity in one embrace, in one warm embrace. We all are one family. This is the uniqueness of so-called Bharatiya Sanskriti coming from the great ideology of the Vedas. Which other religion talks in this language, my dear? Please let me know. Which other religion actually practices it? Swamiji says, if this ideology has been practiced only in Hindu society alone, that is why in spite of 1,000 years of invasions and persecution in this land, the Hindus are still tolerant and accepting and accepting, accepting and accepting. This is the most uniqueness of this so-called Hindu society and India, because India is not different from Hinduism. There is no India without Hindu Dharma. Please understand this point very clearly. Hindu Dharma and India, there are two sides of the same coin. Swamiji says, let this Dharma go away from here, India will be dead in 3 generations. What makes India India is this great ideology of the Vedas. And to keep this great ideology before the entire world was the one mission of Swami Vivekananda. And how proudly he did it. Swamiji says, I am one of the proudest Hindu ever born. These are Swamiji's words. So why I am saying this, that when we understand the essence of Indian culture, we will also have some sense of pride about who we are, a sense of pride about who our ancestors were, a sense of pride about the kind of blood which is coursing in our veins, we will have some sort of a tremendous confidence and a sense of our greatness. We are the best. We are the children of the rishis. This we should understand. Swamiji keeps on hammering this idea. We should understand that we are Aryaputras. We should know our ancestry and we should be proud about it. And this ancestry, the great knowledge parampara which has come down from there, and that knowledge system which tells us that the whole world, this entire creation is divine, that's why we are all one family. Now, world is waiting to get this message from India. India alone can do this. Hindu society alone can do this, because this ideology, we alone have it. Nowhere else it is existing. Every other system is exclusive. They exclude every other community which doesn't believe in their belief system. It is Hindu ideology alone. The Vedic ideology alone is the one ideology which, no matter what belief system you may be having, we see everybody as divine. So this is the great uniqueness of so-called Hindu Sanatana Dharma. And this Hindu Sanatana Dharma is the very soul of this land, Bharat. And it is this ideology which actually is holding this 140 crore people into one identity, and that is how we are one nation. We became nation not in 1950, we were a nation from timeless past. India has been nation from timeless past. We cannot even pinpoint the starting point of this culture and civilization. Nobody can determine its antiquity. It's impossible. Swami Vivekananda says that India is the cradle of human civilization. It is from there, from here, from this very country, civilizations have sprung and gone everywhere. It is from Bharat that cultures, the different essential culture was born here, and it went to all parts of the world. Swamiji repeatedly tells these ideas. So we should understand that the essential feature of the so-called India as a nation is this great thought system of the Vedas, which makes India, India. Minus this, India will be dead and gone. It will become something else. So, the main point, before I conclude my point, the essence of Indian culture is what? It is the great scientific thought system of the Vedas. And this great scientific thought system of Vedas teaches us to see everything as divine. It makes us realize, it makes us experience our own divinity. And then it makes others also experience their divinity. I can conclude my talk saying in one sentence, now what is written here? Let us be gods and make others gods. This is the essence of so-called Indian culture and civilization. Indian culture, when I talk about Indian culture, that culture is based upon the great Vedic system of thought, which is today known as Hindu Dharma. And its essential idea is only one. Let us be gods and make others also God. This is the main essential idea of so-called Bharatiya Sanskriti. We are all here to become gods. Our rishis wanted us to become like gods, and we have to make others also gods. Be and make. This is the reason why India is existing. Swamiji says this is the mission of India, and India alone can do this. Swamiji says that India has to once again conquer the entire world with this idea. To tell to the entire world that you are all divine, my dear children, you have to realize it. You be that, and you help others also be that. This is the essential mission of the so-called India as a nation, and whose very soul is Bharata, Hindu Sanatana Dharma. So once again, I just want to keep this idea before you, that the essence of so-called India, Bharatiya Sanskriti, lies in the universal and the scientific thought system of the Vedas, which is today known as Hindu Dharma. And it is this great ideology which Swami Vivekananda preached to the entire world, and the world is waiting to receive it. So we need to first understand who we are, what is the essence of our Indian culture, and we have to be proud about it, and we have to mold our lives based upon this very ideology, and also spread this message all over the world. So Swamiji's one vision was an awakened India by an awakened Hindu Dharma, and through an awakened Hindu Dharma and awakened India, he wanted to awaken the entire humanity. This was Swami Vivekananda's mission and vision. He wanted a Prabuddha Bharat by a Prabuddha Hindu Dharma. Hinduism has to awaken. With an awakened Hindu Dharma, there will be an awakened Bharat, Prabuddha Bharat. And through Prabuddha Bharat, we have to create a Prabuddha Vishwam. This was Swami Vivekananda's mission and vision. This is the vision of India. This is the mission of India. And India is destined to do that. India is existing to do that. So before I wind up, my dear students, I would once again appeal to you. I have just touched upon a few points here. If you read lectures from Colombo to Almora, you will get wonderful details, the scheme, the plan which Vivekananda had in his mind to make our youngsters proud about one's own Sanskriti and Sabhyata, and make every youth walk in the line of spreading these great ideas all over the world. I pray to Swami Vivekananda that may he give you that required strength, capability to live the great vision of our rishis and spread that message all over the world. Thank you so much.